Mission tables have been a constant talking point throughout Shadowlands, as they seem to be pretty powerful again this expansion. There's no denying. They kind of got forgotten about a little bit in BFA, but they've really made a resurgence in Shadowlands, especially with powerful add-ons such as Venture Plan to help people almost guarantee success with the mission table. So much so that people then try to see, well, just how much can they scale this? How many alts can they get up and running? How many... how easily and what is the optimal way to set up your mission table as fast as possible to just, cash cow it for while it's a thing. Zanzafall appears to have put together his ultimate guide for setting up the mission tables. For those that may not be aware, Zanzafall is actually in the process still, I think, of trying to level up 50 level 60 characters to really take advantage of these mission tables. Now, at this point, we're just about to come into the last patch of Shadowlands, but he now has, I believe, last time I checked in with him, I think he's got nearly 30 level 60s that are working on his mission tables, generating crazy amounts of gold, even without really min-maxing it. That you can, just a simple setup. You don't necessarily need all of the followers. You don't necessarily need it all to be, ranked, all to be level 60 followers. Just getting up and running, getting it to the point where it's sort of Anima positive, or at least Anima neutral, means that you can very quickly, 2 minutes a day, log on very quickly. I mean, you can technically do it on your phone, but it's much, much slower than if you happen to be at your PC and you can just log in, bang out a few missions using an add-on or two to help you, and come back a few hours later to a few goodie bags full of materials which you can then ultimately sell. Even if you're ignoring the material bags, you can dive in and you can even do nothing but the just pure raw gold, and if you're of course doing it on enough characters, that's going to really add up quite quickly. I tried doing it on the phone. It's a real bad design. It's so slow. Yeah, the mobile side. The thing is that we live in a world of luxury with some of the add-ons that we have in game. Venture Plan is obviously the famous one at this point. There's also Covenant Mission Success Helper, I think it's called. I've really switched off my focus of the mission tables as of recently, ever since Venture Plan stopped being updated. So pretty much 9.1 is where I really started to, lose my focus on the mission tables. But then I didn't have quite as many alts and wasn't really as religious about logging on and pressing the buttons so often. So if you do, if you do venture along with the mission tables, though, they can be a really good source of gold. It's important to note that this is not necessarily about min-maxing to get the absolute best out of the table, but due to diminishing returns of time involvement, in this case, it's about the volume of alts that you have at your disposal. Yeah, so this goes to explain just, how Zanzafall's trying to get as many characters as available to at least get some presence going with this. And as long as you're not running out of Anima, and that being the restriction to you, you're pretty much good to go. So a few people have chipped in regarding the Anima side of the mission table. So you get one Anima item for each tier that you have your Covenant leveled up. So if you have all tier 1 buildings in your Covenant, you'll get one bonus Anima item. So you can actually get 3 bonus Anima items if you have all of your buildings ranked up to level 3. There is achievements that go along with that, so you can track it. It is on a per character basis rather than account wide, so you are going to have to dump quite a lot of Anima into leveling up your Covenants. But I worked it out a while ago that you only actually need tier 2 across the board for you to pretty much make as as long as you send out the Anima missions as a priority, you'll make enough Anima back to cover the cost of sending out all the other missions. You kind of break even with Anima at that point. Meaning that once you've got that character ready, once you've got a few followers on that character, they can just literally sit at the mission table. You log in, you bang out a few missions, and you log out, and you come back a few hours later. It's literally as simple as that. You can, once you get 3 of all buildings, get to a point where the table actually makes you Anima at the very same time. But I worked it out a while ago that you only really need level 2 of everything for it to be sort of Anima neutral, which is a key thing to have. Because if you have to get level 3 of all of your Covenant buildings, you're looking at spending 64,000 Anima to achieve that in the first place, which is, yeah, quite a lot. At this point in the expansion, it's probably not worth doing that because you probably won't make it back. If you did this early on in the expansion, I've got a couple of Covenants maxed out 3s across the board. And those characters have just been making Anima consistently every single week because of this. Also means if you do take that character out to like Zereth Mortis, or you take it to Korthia, they just get flooded with Anima because they're gaining bonus tokens every single time you do something, whether it be a world quest or, you know, loot a treasure or something like that, which is kind of handy. It's still worth, if you're doing the mission tables, Night Fae, Conservatory for gold. If you're already unlocking those 3, you just need the Conductor and Teleporter, which is also useful. So you're only really wasting the 16k for the Conductor. Pretty certain these bonuses apply to pretty much everything, including the quests in Korthia. Yeah, this is what I was alluding to, that if you do rank up your Covenant, the bonus items you get for completing the set do apply to world quests. They apply to looting treasures, meaning you eventually just end up with like stupid amounts of Anima on those characters that have got a nicely leveled up Covenant at the same time. And let's not forget that you can also funnel Anima between characters nowadays. So if you have one character that has their Covenant leveled up, and that's the character that you're playing, and you're ending up with a surplus of Anima, don't forget that you can send that Anima to your alts to keep their mission tables ticking over nicely as well. There was also a great discussion this week about Covenant choice and making max level followers with the mission table. There's a common discussion between Night Fae and the Necrolords over in Moldraxxus, which one is the better one to have for the mission table, and it's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of another. Let's see what's initially said. So my guys are only level 43 on average, so what I'm experiencing might change at higher levels. Still I'm starting to feel a growing discrepancy between Night Fae and Necrolord when it comes to sweaty mission table gaming. I feel like my Moldraxxus mission table is popping off. The new followers, especially Rattlebag and the 3-headed dog, are nothing to sneeze at. They carry almost as hard as Plague Devourer, who is known to pull a fast one on the enemies. Don't get me started on Plaguey. Plaguey's Biss. That guy is from another dimension on the mission table ownage. Not sure if he's new though. See, this is looking at it from the focus of the followers themselves. The difference is actually not the followers. In a weird way, it doesn't really matter so much about the followers. It's more about the troops. This is why Night Fae is often considered the best Covenant for the mission table, because the Night Fae troops are just super duper overpowered, and they just carry. They have the ability to heal. So you stack 4 of them with 1 companion, and it becomes very, very difficult for that party of 5 to then die, meaning eventually they chip away and pretty much complete every mission. Whereas Necrolords, it is true, their followers, some of their followers are far more powerful, but they don't have the benefit of being able to have troops that can then carry those other followers in other missions. So Necrolord is good, but mission table, in my opinion, is still still pretty much BIS. So yeah, Necrolord champions are better, but Night Fae troops are better. The latter is preferable because quantity over quality, meaning you can actually do more total missions with Night Fae. I did a video a long time ago that sparked quite a lot of discussion about this, where I, unusually for me, put quite a clickbaity title and thumbnail on this video of, I think it was like 100,000 gold. 100,000 gold for 2 minutes of effort. And it's basically 2 minutes a day. 2 minutes a day with a max Night Fae mission table can generally make you in the region of about 100,000 gold. That is obviously in the early days where the materials were worth a little bit more. People were putting a lot more value on things like augment runes, but even still, even to this day, the amount of gold you can make with a max table is pretty gross. Okay, so let's take a little look further then, which this leads on to further discussion about only unlocking one follower and then power leveling them to 60. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, so when you first get going with a mission table, your troops are really important. The level of your troops is really important. And one thing to understand is that the troops can increase in level all the way to 60, but they never decrease in level. This was a feature. They used to decrease in level, but they don't anymore, meaning that you can actually cheese it if you're very clever before you start with the mission table. You can cheese it to get your troops to level 60 before you even go out and get any significant quantity of followers. And if you can get your troops to 60, then they basically just carry for the entirety. So the way that you do it is you pick up one and only one follower. You don't want more than one follower before you do this. You get one follower, which is going to be your first soulbound. You get that one follower, and then you go and grind renown. You get the 40 renown from the vendor if you've already got to 80 once on a champion. You then do what you need to do to get to, I think you need to get to renown, I want to say 76. By the time you get to 76, you should have got 2, maybe 3, somebody will correct me if I'm wrong on this, wisps of memory, which are the plus 75,000 experience tokens that you can get. You put all of those tokens on that one and only that one soulbound, and it should be level 51 at that point. That will also mean that your followers will then be level 51. If you have other characters that have XP tokens because they're bind on account, you can funnel more XP tokens to get it higher than 51, but it's going to require quite a lot of XP tokens to get it to 60. But then when you get your followers, your troops, once you've cheesed your troops to have quite a high level, 51 plus, then you go out and you get all the other followers. And it's at that point, like I said, if you're using Night Fae, where the Night Fae troops are actually what carry, you've got 51 level troops with like level 10 followers, and you still complete the missions purely because the troops are what are carrying those missions, which is very cheesy, and it requires a very precise setup. But if you do it, it's super duper powerful. And if you're going to be doing this at scale, if you're going to be doing this on lots of alts, you probably want to check that out. But I'm assuming, not that I've watched this video in full, but I'm assuming Zanzaful goes through all of that in his ultimate guide for setting it up. So it doesn't probably require me to go through it in too much detail. But that's mission tables. Simply put, even getting them to 60 to 70% efficiency and checking them a couple of times a day is more than enough to, basically play this game for free, which is kind of nice.